Time for the news.
Hello and welcome to episode 20 of Weird Mind Newsroom. So you all know the gist already. We're going to talk about all the new releases that came out this week. We're going to talk about the odd trailers that came out this week, as well as we can talk about all the news that came out this week. So let's not waste too much time and let's just get right into it then, shall we?
Come on. What did you expect?
So we'll start off this week with the biggest film to come out this week, and with the all-new spiritual sequel to one of the most famous horror films of all time. And with another obsession on our hands, we have The Exorcist Believer. Now, this new film follows widowed father of Victor Fielding, who must deal with some serious supernatural effects when his daughter Angela and her best friend Catherine go missing in the woods for 3 days and come back to act like nothing seems to be right. And everything turns sinister, and soon he must seek out the one person who has witnessed something like this and survived it, and is of course Chris McNeil from the original Exorcist. Now, the film was pretty much anticipated from the trailers and the promotional material, but unfortunately it seems to be a case that it's not doing so well, and the critics seem to have panned this film for lack of horror, but praise for its emotional growth. The lack of exorcism is pretty decent, and the returning character seems to be wasted in this film. That's what I've heard anyway. Now, whether this is going to lead into a possible chance of a decent trilogy is anyone's guess, especially given the case that the director for this, J.B. Gordon Green, did the recent Halloween trilogy, where the first one was good, last two weren't so great, and so far it's not turning out great for this Exorcist trilogy, but we'll have to see when those other ones come out. But if you want to check it out yourself, then you can check it out now in cinemas. But if an exorcism is not your thing, and you prefer a slasher with a sci-fi twist, then I would suggest the newest offering from Amazon Prime of Totally Killer. Now, this new film will tell of a legend of the serial killer that first murdered 3 teens around 35 years before the events of this film, and will soon see 17-year-old Jamie become the next target, but she's suddenly transported back to 1987, just before the killer first drew blood, and must team up with her teenage mother to stop the mass killer once and for all. Now, the reception for this one seems to be way much better received for its unique new spin on a slasher, and not going too easy and being much more graphic. And if you want a horror that provides a blast of the past, then I don't see this being a bad option, and you can check it out yourself now on Amazon Prime. But if you want something more of a creepies goings on in a small town with some ties to a classic horror story, then I would suggest that last new film of this week with a prequel film of a Stephen King novel with Pet Sematary Bloodlines. Now, this film is set 50 years before the events of the most recent 2019 film and follow a younger version of Jude Cradnell, who would want to leave their home behind but soon discovers dark secrets buried within and must confront a dark family secret that will forever keep him connected to this small town. Now, similar this week to the Exorcist film, this film has also been panned by critics who have criticized the half-assed attempts at expanding the world of the original story and is just not as scary and replaced with too much graphic material. But if you have the sense of wondering why The Dead is better, then I would suggest you can check it out yourself on Paramount+. And now for what I feel is the second big thing released this week is the return of everyone's favorite God of Mischief, as we have finally gotten the release of Season 2 for Loki. Now, this will follow on from the events of the finale of the first season and see Loki teaming up with Mobius to discover that everything is not what it seems in the TVA, and he must stop the sacred timeline from falling to pieces, while also dealing with the trickster god being pulled through time at random points out of nowhere by time slipping. As well as the case, you got to deal with the whole issue with variants, but I don't think we see much of a problem issue here, but you get the gist of it. Moving on. Well, it seems the reception for this has been very well received, and it's probably the best show to come out of the MCU, and is up there with the first season. And I, for one, am excited for this. I have seen the first episode, and I'm very excited for the new episodes releasing every week. So you can check out this new episode every Friday from 2 a.m. on Disney Plus over here, up to, I think, early November, so there's something to look forward to. And for the first of the 2 big game releases of this week, we have returned to the long-running series of becoming one with the Creed of the Brotherhood. As yes, the series is back after hibernation with Assassin's Creed Mirage. Now, this game is set in the 9th century in Baghdad. I believe this puts before the original and Valhalla on the timeline, during the anarchy of the Samara, and you take on the new assassin of Basim, who goes from street thief to assassin for the Brotherhood and must fight for peace and liberty from the Templar Order. Now, what I've seen so far, the reception for this one has been well received, and a good bit of hype is that it's going back to the roots of the series with the classic parkour form, and less into the divisive RPG elements formed from the last 3 games that has been complained by many. But if you're looking for a return to the world of the Assassins, then you can do so now on PS4 and 5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. And on our last of the new releases for this week, we are returning in some form to the wonderful world of Pokémon, as we are back with everyone's favorite wisecracking caffeine-loving Pokemon with Detective Pikachu Returns. Now, this new game will follow on from the original 3DS game and see Tim Goodman teaming up with Pikachu in solving the case of what happened to Pikachu's original partner and your father of Harry Goodman, as well as the suspicious goings-on in Rhyme City with the aid of some of the other Pokemon to solve the case. Now, the reception on this as well, what I've seen, is a little mixed, with some praising the writing and bits of the story, but some critiquing the visuals looking too outdated as most of the other games for the last decade, and possibly a difficulty factor, but I'm not sure that this is it's probably just a little fun little mystery, and you can delve into yourself as available now on Nintendo Switch. And with that is all of the new releases that we have for this week.
Oh, no, not the beast! Not the beast!
So we'll start this week on a very mixed option of trailers, as there's not really much major ones that I've seen this week, with an all-new edition of a more action-oriented or violent film based around the period time of Christmas. And this is with legendary action director of John Woo and with the producer of John Wick. We have the all-new film of Silent Night. Now, this new film will see Joel Kinnaman's character deal with the death of his son and presumably the loss of his voice by the hands of some local gang warfare, and will go on a killing spree to get his revenge as it is the season to be bloody. Now, I have gotten an interest in some of these recent Christmas-based action films, and this one does look cool. Some CG elements do look a bit odd in the trailer, but I'll give it the pass on that instance. Like, I feel it's going to be more focused on the action anyway. But this looks something I may check out near to Christmas when this releases on December 1st. Now, if you remember around summer of last year, we received the acclaimed award-winning biopic on the king of rock and roll himself, which was, of course, Elvis Presley. Well, we are going to be seeing a slightly different perspective on him in this new film, as instead of focusing more on his career and music side, we are seeing it through the eyes of his very young wife in the new film of Priscilla. Now, this will, of course, focus on the couple's relationship and the focus about her meeting Elvis, her marriage, and essentially all of her thoughts on the life of the musician, how it is not always a glitz and glamorous life. Now, this does look very stylized, as you would expect from an A24 film that it's coming from, and the reception for this movie from some of the most recent film festivals that it's premiered at has been very strong. And I'm sure you can learn a lot more about the life of Priscilla Presley when this film hits cinemas on November 3rd, I believe. But now on to a film from Netflix that to me feels somewhat familiar to another film that's already released this year, and this is with the upcoming film of Leave the World Behind. Now, this new film will see a family vacation be interrupted by two strangers that appear at their door with warnings of an imminent mysterious blackout. And as the threat grows larger, both of these families must decide with how to survive this crisis, as well as grappling with their own place in this collapsing world. Now, to me, it does sound a little similar to the M. Night Shyamalan film of Knock at the Cabin, as both involve a holiday home, some strangers arriving and basically holding possibly a family hostage, and then something similar to an apocalypse happening, which from the trailer looks like there's that bit as well. But I feel there is more to this one, and given that it's being directed by the creator of Mr. Robot in Sam Esmail, this could be something that turns out great. And you can check this out when the film drops supposedly in cinemas in late November before getting straight onto Netflix on December 8th. And now to end up all the trailers, we have an all-new action film from the man who gave the excellent movie of Fury and the one whose original vision was fucked over by the studio that released it with 2016 Suicide Squad. We have David Ayer's new film of The Beekeeper. Now, this new film will see Jason Statham play Mr. Clay, a former operative of a clandestine group known as the Beekeepers, who goes on a hunt to take down a corrupt and messy system when his neighbor dies by suicide after she scammed of everything that she owes. It is a common thing for Statham to do a lot of these action films, but this one doesn't look too bad, and I feel Ayer may be able to pull it off, and you can check this film yourself when this releases early next year on January 12th. And with that now, that is all of the new trailers that came out of this week.
Wow.
So on to the news now, and our first story concerns video games. Now, we all know that we have noticed that gaming prices this day and age are quite expensive, where a lot of the big tentpole games would cost around €80. This is mostly with PC, PS4 and 5 and Xbox, with the highest for Switch being around 60-65. And they would be costing around the same price as the games of the 80s with the NES 64 Sega era, and it is a concerning number for people, but for some reason a big name CEO of a gaming company sees them as being too cheap of a price. Now, according to the CEO of Capcom, Haruhiro Tsujimoto, at a recent Tokyo Game Show, had recently stated that game prices are too low to him personally, which I feel is a completely dumb reason. Now, his reasoning for it is due to higher costs in development and marketing costs and paying employees, which honestly they should be doing in general and not be questioning the case of thinking, oh, gaming should be higher price, because it just basically loses the point. In most cases, if you keep it at the normal price or even reduce it, you're going to see a lot more sales, you'll see a better word of mouth if reception for things are good or bad or not, you'll probably get a lot of people more playing it, you get better profit, better sales, and you could use that money to basically make DLC, expansions, or even a sequel or anything like that. Because if you do higher price, a lot of people are going to move away from your games. Now this sounds similar case as well to Netflix's story that I have on my blog about how they're going to raise the price once the actor strike ends, even though they rarely release any decent content now and again, but what am I to judge? But what are your thoughts on this? Do you feel that he's making complete sense, or do you think he's completely knowledgeable of nonsense? And what price do you think should be a decent price for really good games to, decent third-party titles? Let me know what you think down below in the comments. So while I was looking for news stories this week, I did notice a fair mix of different announcements, delays, and even a cancellation. And there's one I actually want to talk about as well in its own separate story, so I'm going to leave that to the next point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through all of them in one post here because I don't want to make them separate. I'll give some little context to each one of them as I get to them. So first off, we have the announcement that this week, during the season 3 finale of Only Murders in the Building, that we've got a confirmation from Hulu that another case is on the table as the 4th season for Only Murders in the Building has been confirmed. That we'll see Oliver, Charles, and Mabel solving yet another case of someone being killed in the Arconia Hotel. Now, I know that I was thinking sure they were going to end on a cliffhanger or something like that, of someone being killed or dying, and it'll be the situation of finding out who. Now, I'm not going to say who is the victim for the next season or who is the killer from this season because I'm not like that of spoiling things. But if you know, you know. But if you want to check it out, you can check it out now on Disney Plus or Hulu. And I, for one, am excited for another season of Only Murders in the Building. And in terms of the second announcement for this week, and on October 3rd of all days they announced this, we are getting confirmation we're getting a musical adaptation of the classic teen comedy of Mean Girls coming out in the new year. Now, initially this was planned for a release straight onto the streaming platform Paramount Plus, but it seems to be a much bigger than a streaming film, and that'll be hitting the silver screen on January 12th. And as for the delay of this week, this was supposed to be coming out next week, but they delayed it by about 6 weeks, and that was the confirmed planned Batman Arkham Trilogy for the Nintendo Switch, which is now, instead of releasing October 13th, is releasing on December 1st. Now I guess it's probably from the port of Arkham Knight, because that was the situation with 2015's original launch on PC, so they're probably trying to make it run smoothly and make it work better, so I can understand this being as long as I can still buy before the end of the year and play it on the go. And the wrap up this week is a focus on a cancellation, as was confirmed about 2 or 3 days ago as of recording this, that the iCarly reboot has been cancelled after its 3rd season. Now I myself was not really much of a fan of this show, having grown up with the original kids series from about 10 years ago with Nickelodeon, but the sudden change from them talking about drinking, divorce, having kids, having sex, and even swearing feels a little off-putting, especially when this series has been rated for a PG rating and still be getting nominated for Kids' Choice Awards, that it doesn't really know what general audience it wants to be because it fluctuates back and forth a lot of time. Now, while I'm happy this is ending because it was kind of a bit rough to watch, it did end on a cliffhanger, which I'm going to say is pretty much a dick move because it feels a bit tedious, especially how they ended the series, but I'm not going to spoil it. I made my own separate video on the problems I have with the show, or like in a long form video about this series, which I might do in the future. I might have to force people to rewatch this, but it might come down the line. But what are your thoughts on all these announcements? And in particular, which one are you excited about, sad about, or disappointed about? And what do you think is reasonable and dumb for them doing? Let me know what you think down below in the comments. Now, I did mention there was one other announcement from this week that I wanted to keep separate, and this of course with a short teaser above that was released on Thursday in a big surprise reveal. Yes, Nintendo and LEGO have announced they're doing an all-new set of waves, and this particular one with Animal Crossing. Now, when I saw this announcement, I literally was in shock and excitement and felt my wallet suddenly getting lighter from wanting to buy all the sets. Yes, but there's a new wave of them and minifigures coming based on what looks like the most recent game of New Horizons, going off the costume of Tom Nook. Now, what I know currently is that there are 5 sets confirmed. The sets are coming in the prices of 15, 20, 30, 40 to 50, and most priciest of €75. And at the moment, it's projected to release either in January or in March of next year. Now, we also got some confirmed characters, including Isabel, Tom Nook, Kappa, Marshall, Rosie, Bunny, Fauna, and Julian. Now, I'm sure we'll probably get some more unveiled looks of the sets and maybe some other characters becoming minifigures as well, but we'll have to see down the line when they show them off. But what are your thoughts on this? Do you think that it's a good ideal? And what other Nintendo properties do you see turning into Lego sets? Because I could see Zelda and Metroid definitely becoming parts of it. Maybe even Splatoon, but we'll have to see it down the line. Let me know what you think down below, and what other characters do you think are going to join this cast, because I'm intrigued. And as for our last story, is coming to us from Marvel, and of course it's from the guy in red, the merc with the mouth himself, Deadpool. Now, currently as things stand, Deadpool 3 is projected for release in May of next year, but that could change if the strikes are not found an agreement, as they're still in production. And we've not seen much in terms of a plot or anything, besides maybe the famous pic of Deadpool and Wolverine in full costume, and that Carmel lecture for the 2005 film is going to be in this one as well. But now there's been some rumors floating around the web sphere that has connected to something that we just talked about this week, as well as another based on someone in the big name in the music industry that I will be talking about next week. So the basis that I've mentioned in this episode is that Loki has premiered second season, and one of the big aspects of the show is the setting which is in the contents of the TVA. And some rumors have been flowing around that the TVA and Mobius will be the connection that brings Deadpool and the Fox universe to the characters of the MCU. Now, there have been some leaked set photos of the 20th century logo left in disarray in a barren wasteland, which could be similar to the location that Loki sent to when he was pruned in the first season. And give that Deadpool messed up with the timeline in the past post-credits of Seconds film, like saving his fiancée, saving Bob, and other means, and it may cause some form of a Nexus event that they may want to stop, so we'll have to see about that if it comes true. Or even as a surprise cameo in the new season, we'll have to see how the series goes along. And the other news is the rumors surrounding the music superstar of Taylor Swift. Now, we all know she's a big name right now, with their Eras tour making way across the globe, the film version out next week, countless albums out in a single year, and all the dating rumors. One of the big focuses that people are pointing to was that she has been spending a fair bit of time with some big names, in particular Ryan Reynolds, his wife Blake Lively, Hugh Jackman, and director Sean Levy, the director of the new Deadpool movie. Now, many have begun to speculate that she will be the new film as the superhero of Dazzler, an X-Men who converts sound vibration to light and energy beams, and I feel that does make sense for her to take on the role, but we'll have to see how this turns out, as both of these discussions are currently rumors, and until we see any confirmation of leaked images, we'll only speculate for now. But what do you think of these rumors? Do you think they're decent enough, or do you feel they're completely speculation? Because I can see one or two of them working out. But let me know what you think down below in the comments, and with that, that is all the news that we had for this week.
So thank God that's over. I mean, it's over, right?
And with that now, that brings us to the end of the 20th episode of Weird Mind Newsroom, and I hope you enjoyed listening to me ramble for probably about another 20 minutes. Anyways, some updates on some upcoming projects. Well, I've gotten 2 reviews ready to go now. I'll do the Elemental and the Puss in Boots one. I just want to finish writing the Ninja Turtles review, and then I'll get around to that. I'm currently planning out someone for a Halloween episode, which I feel may be the case about why certain, like the concept of horror is kind of a bit fluctuating, where like you might get some good things and maybe once in a blue moon and everything else just feels a bit tedious. Like I'll bring some good examples of like most recent films that have been panned or some ones that have been good, as well as the case of films, games, and shows or something. I don't know. Rewatchathon, I haven't got around to watching the most recent ones, which I need to get around to at some point. I've been a little busy this week, so to say. Other ones, what do I have? I've got some other concepts in mind I'm going to work on as well, but I'll see how that comes along. But that's basically all I can talk about. So I hope you enjoyed listening to me ramble. If you enjoyed, simply like the video and subscribe if you haven't already, because I have a goal of just reaching about 50 to 100 subs this year, which would be appreciated. We're up to, this 8th of October with this recording, so hopefully we get there by December 31st. So if you can, I'll be greatly appreciated. I'll try and do something for it. And yeah, you can comment below on all the topics that were discussed this week and give me your opinions and stuff, like what you're excited for seeing, what your opinions and stuff, and the news and stuff in particular. And share it around to people if you haven't already. Get them to like and sub and all that good stuff. But anyways, I think I'll leave it there for now. So I appreciate every single one of you. Thank you for being wonderful people, because you all are wonderful people, and have a great day every day. And I'll see you all in the next episode. So take care, everybody, and good day.